Hey everybody, welcome back to Havoc Maker Studio. My name is John, and today we're going to dive in a little bit more with the Apex Legends board game. I'm going to I've got a couple other things I want to get done today, but right now I want to talk about this. The Apex Legends board game that's being produced by Glass Cannon Unplugged. I think they're out of Poland. The Apex Legends video games done by EA and Respawn. I'm sure you've probably seen it. Watch my other video from about 2 days ago if you want to get some more details on this. So it is coming to Kickstarter live on May 17th, which means we are 7 days away. So next Wednesday, this time next week, it'll go live. And before we get into just a couple of things that I kind of caught my attention rules wise, let's cover reason why I'm going to recommend that you at least get saved for the notification on Kickstarter. If you do so, you will secure the free character Loba. It is a pre-launch freebie. So if it launches and you weren't part of the pre-launch, you're not going to get it, right? Or it might be an additional add-on, but you have to buy it. So it's a free character. It's only worth like maybe $10 plus all the cards and everything that are going to come with it. Now, I know you might be like, I don't care, John, I'm not going to get this, or I'm on the fence. You know what? You're totally valid reasons there. But if you go ahead and secure it now, you can at least guarantee that you'll have that extra freebie. No big deal. It doesn't hurt you to do it. And even if you decide, hey, I really don't want this, John, stop talking about it. You're okay, cool. But your friend or your family member might be interested in it. So you could secure it for them. Be a hero. So just something to think about. Just something that I want to run by you. So we are 7 days away from this Kickstarter. And a couple of things I wanted to talk about today. Really the main thing I want to talk about today was the rules, at least for shooting. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, because there's something, obviously I want you guys to be able to read it and watch the video. Those links are in the description below. The main link down below has all the links, including a TTS tutorial video for the open beta, but it also goes through all the rules and explains it a lot clearer than the core rulebook, which is available for free right now. So when you are going to shoot, this is a diceless game. All right, you're going to be drawing cards to see if you are successful in your hits, which I think is kind of a neat, innovative way. It's very board game-ish. This is where that board game part comes in. I think there's another game system out there. I believe it's Malifaux uses cards. It might be cards and dice, but I know Malifaux uses cards. So this is kind of in that same vein-ish. So what's going to happen is, if you can see on the screen here, hopefully you can. If you can't, I'll maybe you're driving and listening. I'll kind of go through what the stats are. So going from the top to bottom, left to right, you got the name of the weapon. Like in this case, it's the longbow DMR, which is a designated marksman rifle. At the far right corner, you have the number of initial rounds or ammo you have for this weapon. You can pick up ammo as you go along. You're going to want to, because you're going to run out. Now, going down on the left-hand side again, underneath what type of weapon this is, the first thing you have there has the double arrow. That's the optimal range, which is 5+. Then you have the number of shots that you get. That's that second box. In this case, the DMR's got 2 shots. And then what your threshold is to hit. In this case, it's a 50+. We'll get into that. Below that, you have the damage. That's that red box. In this case, it's a 10. And next to that, you have the headshot damage. So if you draw a card that has a headshot and you score that headshot, you're going to do that much damage more. Does that make sense? I hope so. Then you have your passive skills. Like in this case, it's after each shot, you can recoil +1. I'm not sure what recoil is. I haven't gotten 12 the stats on it. And then below that, you have a variety of mods that you can add to your weapon as you go through the game. which I think is one of the really cool things that kind of give it not only that video game vibe, but also, I could almost see a tabletop RPG type shooter game, very similar to something that Osprey Press puts out, like Black Ops or Frostgrave and whatnot. At any rate, and those mods will boost those initial stats that you have, right? So when it comes time to make your shot, you know that you have a 50 plus, and let's just say everything is optimal range. We'll cover modifiers, or you can read about modifiers later on. But what you're going to do is you're going to draw a number of cards equal to the shots. In this case, he has an extended mag attached to this, which gives him one additional shot. So he's going to get a total of 3 shots to shoot with. Another mod he has is a stabilizer, which increases the stability of the weapon by 1. So normally you start at 0, and you place you draw your cards from the deck on to see how many shot, or let me try that again. You're going to draw a number of cards equal to the number of shots you have, and you're going to place them face up on the shot bar there. And you're going to start at 0 most of the time. Now, you might have some other modifiers that adjust that. Like in this case, he has a modifier that he has to skip every other space. So starting with the stability, he moves his initial shot +1, which goes to the right, to the left, +1. So his first card they draw has a value on it called a number is 35. Congratulations. And below that, it's got its own separate symbol. You're going to see all these symbols. We'll cover them again. He has to skip a space, and then his next card that he puts down is the 45, which is in the -5 category. And then his final shot is skips 1, goes to the -15, and it's at the 70. All right. And it's got that red skull symbol, which is the headshot. So he's got the headshot, which is that's a good thing because that's a lot of damage. What you have to do is equal that threshold that you have, right? So the threshold for this is a 50 plus. So you go along and look at each of those cards and add the modifiers that's above it. So the first shot, which is a 35 plus 5, that's your that modifier is a 40. It's not going to hit. The next one that you have is a -5 on a 45. So that's going to be a 40. Once again, it's going to be a failure. Not too good, right? His last shot is with a 70, -15, which is 55. Was my Common Core math working right here? I've never done Common Core math, but I feel like that was a Common Core math issue there. That 55 is a hit, and it is a headshot. So he's going to apply, he's going to inflict 12 damage onto his target. Now the target, everybody in the game has shields and their health bar. So you'll first take your damage, unless there's something special that you have, you'll take damage from your shields first. Then once the shields drop, then you start applying damage to the character. And once the character has lost all of its health, then that character is taken out. You put a kill token down, and then you can respawn as long as the game's not over. That's fairly simple. It's just figuring out where your modifiers are, because you're going to look at several things. Your stability, you're going to look at any range or recoil issues that you have, and then you're going to adjust accordingly. And it's fairly simple math. Usually -1, +1, then you're just going to shift everything, drop the cards down, and add or subtract, and that gets you what you're looking for. So the lower your initial threshold is, the better off you are. Anything that drops that threshold, like in the case of the longbow DMR, it's a 50. Anything that can drop that down initially, the better you have, because that gives you a much broader spread, right? So imagine if he adds he doesn't have anything equipped on this one, but a scope, I imagine will, if I remember correctly, the scopes will increase your threshold or lower your threshold. Sorry, lower your threshold. Stocks are damage increasers, and the mags obviously give you more shots. And then I think the suppressor or whatever you have on the muzzle device on there, if you happen to have that ability, will increase the stability. So some pretty cool, very simple things that kind of go on there in determining how this game plays. So I can see where it's going to go pretty fast paced. I wouldn't want to try to implement my own dice system, but it's definitely worth a look-see just as an exercise in game design, really. So the other thing I want to talk about real quick is the rules precedence. And this is where they're very clear about this, where other games really need to be clear about this, especially games like Games Workshop, who comes out with so many rules, so many FAQs, because they make a fun game, a relatively fun game, relatively simple to play, easy to understand, but it's very convoluted with too many rules, right? And you never know. Well, you can figure it out sometimes, but when you have to read so many different books, buy so many different books, buy so many different supplements, download FAQs and erratas to figure out the order of precedence, that is an issue. So in this case, they have it. The first thing you do is cards. So it's any of the cards that you draw and you place down have precedence over the match settings, which is whatever scenario you're playing. So cards override match rules and cards override the core rules. Okay, pretty simple. Now, following that same line is the second one is match settings. So the match rules or the scenario rules take precedence over the core rules. That's very easy to understand. It's laid out very specifically. So I think that is one of the things that other game companies, game designers really kind of mess up, just putting that simple rule there and then following that rule. If you're going to be a big company with lots of rules, lots of factions, lots of armies and whatnot, you need to have your core rules established, well established, and a set of rules for your rules. Does that make sense? Okay. Next time we're going to talk about the map, the grid, and range and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, my name is John. I hope you liked this episode. And if you would, go ahead and put a comment below, hit subscribe, please hit like. That way I know you guys are digging this. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, please put it down in the comments below. Really appreciate it. Have a good day.